You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Business Talk Radio. You're watching Life's Amazing Journey. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and we're going to get real sexy here today. So I'm pretty excited for the show and our incredible guest. Let's bring out the star of our show, Mr. John Christian. Welcome.
What a way to begin. And you look very sexy today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. You look quite handsome yourself as always. So
thank you.
Yay to us, right? We're on this beautiful Friday.
Yeah, indeed. How's the weather over there today?
It's absolutely beautiful. I haven't been outside, of course. I'll get out tonight. But how's it over there?
Well, we went from summer into winter, and today is kind of like mild again. But anyway, I just had some great news actually just before coming on air here that I've been confirmed for a major advertising product.
Woo! Yes, excellent. Congratulations. Can you give any more information, or is it you have to have your
I can't
lips?
at the moment. No, we say it's under wraps, you know. But,
under
anyway.
wraps. That is very exciting. I'm very happy for you.
Thank you.
I have some news to share with you as well.
Oh, good. Because I wanted to ask you from our last session.
Yes. So after our last session, and for those of you who weren't here last week, shame on you. No, I'm kidding. No judgment. We actually had an on-air coaching session. Our guest was not able to make it. And I asked John to coach me on something that had been bothering me for a while. And he did a great job. So I stopped the 75 Hard program after 2 weeks, which was last Friday. Wow. I feel much better. My colitis has gone into remission again. Thank you. And literally, John, I kid you not, right after the show, I got a message from someone. It came out of nowhere, a person that I've interviewed a couple of times. And she said she suspected that I always wanted to be a singer. And she's a singer-songwriter, and she's gone on tour. And so she has gifted me with voice lessons. So I started my first one this week, actually, I think on Monday or Tuesday, and we're going to co-write a song together. So I'm really excited about that. Her name is Madeline Chan, and we have a beautiful song of hers called Follow Love. So thank you, Madeline. And thank you, John, for helping me get rid of something so something else could come in.
Well, it's a pleasure, and it's visible in you. So this is the beauty. You see, I mean, I just love this. It's like a whole alchemical process. You know, once we get the mind and the heart and the feelings back in tune in the body, then the whole energy structure changes, and we feel freer and happier. It's great.
We certainly do. Thank you. And I want to ask our guest, Erica, about this because we're going to be talking a lot about sexy and reclaiming your sexual energy. So what Madeline had shared with me when I was singing, and you as an entertainer and an international performer, you can relate to this. She said that through my song, I was channeling a lot of my masculine energy. And I think I do that a lot with my business. It's always like, go, get this done. And she said, you need to wear softer clothes and get reacclimated with your femininity. So what do you think about that?
I think that's great advice.
Okay.
It's just about balance. It's only about balance.
It is. So as a performer, do you feel that you have masculine and feminine energy?
Unquestionably. I think the most important thing for me, the Chinese philosophers describe it like this: when the yin and the yang, we call it left brain, right brain, are in tune with the Tao, which is what we're calling tummy brain in some areas, when that's all connected together, you perform from a balanced place within yourself, and then therefore you channel that kind of energy through your performance to the audiences. It's beautiful. It's just the most fantastic thing to feel and experience in your own body.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. My song I'm working on is All That Jazz. So We'll
And
see
all
how I
that
do on that.
jazz. Well, listen,
Are you
I'm always
going to?
looking for new songs to record, so let me know when you've been.
Yes, fantastic. I know we had talked a little bit backstage about your performance, and I know there's always a concern with the technology. So, would
Yeah,
you like to perform today, either with your backing track or just a
it,
cappella, or do you?
it
How do you
will
feel?
be a cappella, so we can be brave and throw it in there.
All right, let's be brave on this Friday. I'm going to spotlight you and take
Yes.
it away.
I know you like this song, and both of you ladies are high flyers, so I think this is appropriate. Come fly with me, let's fly away. If you could use some exotic booze, there's a bar in old Bombay. Come fly with me, let's fly away. Come fly with me, let's float down to Peru. In Llama Land, there's a one-man band who will toot his flute for you. Come fly with me, let's float down to the blue. Once I get you up there where the air is rarefied, we'll just glide starry-eyed. Once I get you up there, I'll be holding you so near. You may hear angels sing because we're together. Weather-wise, it's such a lovely day. You just say the word and we'll beat those birds down at Acapulco Bay. Well, it's perfect for a flying honeymoon, they say. Come fly with me, let's fly, let's fly. Pack up your bags, let's fly away. Come and fly with me, ladies.
Woo! Yay, pack up those bags. So, John, I want to ask you, first of all, a question and then about our guests. So, the question I have is, how do you use your sexual chemistry and your male prowess when you're entertaining or performing?
I think I could answer that from two sides. From watching people that tune into themselves in that way, it's the most sensual, sexual, erotic, beautiful thing to observe. And I've noticed that especially with Indian dancers, because they're trained to tune into themselves in that way and express that sensuality and eroticism. And it's just so beautiful, but it's clean and pure beautiful, not like lustful in that sense of the word. So when I'm performing, it's been a very interesting experience, because you get responses from a lot of ladies in the audience, that find your confidence like a sex appeal, your performance, your confidence in having worked hard to feel comfortable in your own skin on the stage and perform from heart, mind, body. But also, if the song and the lyrics are sensual, is to put that into the song, put it into the words and the feelings. Like
Thank you for yes, and I think also there's also, I think, something very sexy about having confidence and being able to show that you're stepping forward. This is who you are, and everybody watch out because I'm coming through. John, how did you meet our guest, Erica?
Well, actually, from another one of our guests, Sarah, introduced me to her. So, this is the lovely thing about this, isn't it? The network just keeps flowing and flowing, and we make connections with new friends and new acquaintances around the world, because Erica is from America, so. And my friend who introduced me to her is from England, so.
Well, hello to Sarah Grant. It's nice to have you in the house with us and referring people. And Erica is joining us. It's very early where she is. So let me introduce Erica Lemke. She has a master's degree. She's a sex coach, author of Feel Sexy Again, the ultimate guide to reclaiming your sexual confidence. Available on Amazon, Audible, Barnes & Noble, and wherever fine books are sold. Welcome to the program, Erica.
Good morning. Good morning. And I have to say, John, thank you for such a beautiful serenade this morning. It definitely got my juices flowing so early. It's I'm on mountain time. I live in Salt Lake City. So I'm usually I'm about getting up at this time. I'm not necessarily a morning person, but you help me jumpstart my day. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you too. You look like you've not got up so early in the middle of the night anyway.
Yeah, I usually don't look like this so early.
You look great. You look really good.
Well, thank you. You know, and I just want to say, John, well, your talk about sensuality and eroticism, for me, that's because I'm a lifelong dancer. I taught African dance. I taught Latin dance. I was a Zumba instructor in my former days, and authentic movement. So I've done a lot of pole dancing and a lot of authentic feminine movement. And for me, what you were talking about, that flow and that sense of, that's where the confidence for me comes from, is that sense of being in your body, having that kinesthetic awareness. And then that shines out into everything else that we do in our lives, I think. So I love that you said that, because I am so on board. And I haven't performed for a long time, but I kind of weave the sensual movement and sex coaching a lot with some of my clients, which is pretty amazing, because most of us aren't tapped into our bodies. So it's really trying to reintegrate that sense of who we are and getting back into that awareness and getting out of our heads and getting into, into that kinesthetic part.
Yeah,
so thanks
absolutely.
For that.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
I agree with that. I took
Dr. Jacalyn.
Hi, good morning. I took 2 pole dancing lessons, and I really wanted to be able to do it and do it well. It's hard work. It is such hard work. It's hard on your inner thighs. It's hard on your hands. I give people a lot of credit who do that, and they're spinning around. So I tried twice. I like the other part where you have the chair, you crawl across the floor, and that was
so incredibly sexy. Yes, but I'm 51, and I feel like I'm in better shape than I've been in my entire life, and a lot of it has to do with just doing novel things and kind of going out of the box and doing fun things that move me and that draw me. And I just want to try everything and just, really live a vital life. So that's a big part of why I think I wrote the book as well.
It takes courage, doesn't it? I think, that's what stops a lot of people, is actually having the courage to explore that way. Whereas those of us that have been fortunate to spend years in the arts, we have to explore ourselves in so many different ways, and when I've looked at times in acting training, when I think, oh my God, I would never dare do that personally, but then you go through that hoop and you discover things about yourself that are so liberating.
Well, and what you spoke to reminds me of when I started the book. The introduction has to do with an alter ego who I called Cherry Luminary. I wore a pink page boy wig and stepped into this other person, essentially, to try and help me reclaim my sexual confidence when I didn't feel like I had that accessible to me as a mom and as a wife, and all of these things that kind of just put all these constraints upon me, and this Cherry allowed me to come out of my own shell, essentially. And she was there, but I almost needed that permission in order to find that sexual, sensual energy again. So as you're talking about, acting, I feel like I played that role for a time to just almost not act as if, but act until I became, right? I stood in that, and it enveloped me and until it was really embodied within me.
The fake it till you make it.
Yes, but until you become it, right? Even extended even further, right?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, because I know as an impressionist, I learned to be funny when actually in the early days I was very serious and introverted. So I learned to feel and reconnect with being funny and laughing and getting away with things my personality wouldn't normally explore. So we're so lucky and to be able to work with people and share our experience of self-exploration and self-liberation.
And that has to extend out into sex, right?
And what?
That has to extend out into sex, right? I mean, the sexuality part of that liberation, that rejuvenation, revitalization. I mean, sexual energy, we all have it, right? And I think that's part of our general health and wellness, is really expressing kind of the fullness of our human sexual potential. And that's my job as a sex coach, is try to get my clients to be able to tap into that.
I'm sure you find that is the most challenging area in people's lives, is to feel free sexually, because there's so many issues that we've learned and been taught that have nothing to do with enjoying ourselves sexually.
Well, we have a lot of trauma around sex as an early age. You know, if we're told that we're caught touching ourselves as a young child, it really kind of put scripts in our heads that we follow throughout the course of our lives. So there's a lot of shame and guilt that gets wrapped into that. So a lot of it's unraveling that, and also knowing that we have a pleasure to birth, or a birthright to pleasure. We all deserve pleasure, but I think a lot of us have been cut off from that because we've been shamed for a long time.
I did, for sure.
Definitely. Eric, I'm wondering, when you start working with clients, are there pretty typical reasons that they come to you, that they're looking for help, maybe to open up, or maybe to get over something or connect with somebody? What have you been experiencing in your career as a sex coach?
Well, I work with couples as well as individuals, and my niche is midlife and beyond. So I love working with older women and older men. And, you know, no matter what age we are, we still have a lot of those hangups that have to kind of be addressed. And that does affect our life, whether it's our personal life or professional life. Our sexuality is a part of who we are. So a lot of people will come to me. It might even just be like, we're not having good sex. Well, the communication aspect is really crucial if you're in a relationship. So we'll kind of work on communication issues and then really see how that connects back into their sexual lives. As far as just individuals as well, it could be low libido. It could be, I don't feel good about my body, or I haven't had an orgasm, or so there are a lot of these issues that plague people, and it's really about normalizing so much of our experience that a lot of people just feel like they're not normal, and maybe they have a weird desire that they don't feel that they can share with people, and so they've kept it secret for a long time, and it's really taken a toll on who they are. So sometimes people just need permission and say whatever you're thinking about or desiring or fantasizing about is actually okay. So, you know, if it's not illegal and it's not harming somebody, the spectrum, and we're all unique sexual beings. We all have our own unique styles and desires, and it's wonderful that we have that available to us if we can tap into it and accept that within ourselves.
Thank you, Erica. I love the fact that you touched on communication. I know in my coaching practice, I really help people understand the power of listening, how important it is to be able to listen to each other, and people really don't do this very much. And I think that also plays a role with what happens in the bedroom or in a sexual encounter, because we're so in our heads and we're not listening, we're not open to receiving information from the other person.
Well, and especially if I have a desire that I feel that maybe my partner isn't going to like or is going to think is abnormal, my fear is then he may leave me. He may not, he may think I'm strange. So then I keep it to myself for fear of what I want is wrong. And so I have a lot of people who are they're afraid. They're afraid to open up and really ask for what they truly want. But I think the power comes from figuring out what you want, number one, and then really acknowledging and accepting it and then asking for it. And I think there's so much beautiful power that comes from that, especially whether you're by yourself or within you're in a relationship with others.
And to accept,
sorry.
No, I was going to say, I was the same thing, extending that one step further with the way we are today. We're such a social world with the social media. You're afraid your partner's going to leave and then go put it on Facebook that, oh, my ex-partner likes to do X, Y, Z. And then you have that shame and that fear. And I guess, John, that goes to trust, to the point you were going to make.
Yeah, I think that's fundamental that I find in the relationship stuff that I do, is that if you've got to be able to get past the issues, and you can't do that unless there's a trust between you that that's your intention and your purpose. And that's overpowers the issues, really.
Yeah. Well, and I think we have a lot of expectations that we place both on ourselves and on others, especially when it comes to sex, right?
Absolutely.
And for me, I would say my pleasure is my responsibility. It's not my partner's. So I need to find out what I like and what turns me on. How can I do that for someone else if they don't even know what that is, and vice versa? So it's really having and for some people, it's new language that they're having experience within even themselves to say, well, what is that like? How does that feel? And I need to be, open and trusty within myself to be able to explore that for me, and then be able to then translate that to then, okay, if I'm in a partnership, then translate that to my partner. So I think there's a lot of beauty in just being able to sit with, a lot of us just feel shame in touching our own bodies. There's a lot of shame in that just in and of itself. So it's really, again, giving new language for some people to say, let's take this, let's step back and let's take this step by step and really tap into the sensuality part. So you mentioned sensuality earlier, all the 5 senses, right? And sensuality is both pleasure, is sexual and non-sexual. So I have people write a list of everything that gives them pleasure, sexual and non-sexual, and then really utilize that to really then tap in. And again, you're getting out of your head and you're getting into the body. And then I think that's really when you can access that pleasure center, is when you come from that space. And think about the, sounds and the smells and the touch and taste and all of those luscious sensations that we have available to us. If we can explore that for ourselves and then have our partners do in kind, and then you come together with that match. The match is just, it's just fireworks.
Well said. Well said. We are going to take a break and hear from some of our sponsors. And today, because it's Friday, it's Life's Amazing Journey. We're talking about sexuality. I'm going to play 2 music videos from people who have been on our program and help support their work. The first is from Madeline Chan, and the second is from Laser Girl. And they are both over in the UK. So let's just take a look at these, and then we'll be right back with Life's Amazing Journey, John Christian and Erica Lemke.
What you give me is just not enough. I need a love to take me higher and higher and higher. Every step I take, I feel more awake. Getting closer now, I feel so alive. Stopping me, this is how I live. Ever closer now. Just follow love, and love will take you there. Just follow love, follow me. Just follow love, and love will take you there.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Well, hello and welcome back to USA Global TV and Business Talk Radio. You're watching Life's Amazing Journey. Thank you so much to Madeline Chan, Follow Love, and also to Laser Girl, Dead at First Sight. John Christian is the star of our show, and our special guest joining us bright and early from Utah is Erica Lemke, sex coach and author of Feel Sexy Again, the ultimate guide to reclaiming your sexual confidence. Erica, what was it that drove you, that motivated you, inspired you to write this book?
Oh boy. So, it's funny because I think I wrote the book a couple of years ago, and I feel it's only kind of recently where I feel like I can really speak my voice about why I wrote it. I think I wrote it and it was kind of like in a blur, and people would ask me and I'm like, oh, I'm not sure why exactly I wrote it. I think now, having a little bit of time to, kind of think about it and live in it, I felt unseen. And I was in my late 40s. A lot of transitions were happening in my life at the same time. And I think a lot of us experience that in midlife, where I'm a sandwich generation. So I was taking care of teenagers and an ill father in a different state. And I was pulled in so many different directions and giving to everyone. And my well was dry. And I don't like anything to be dry, especially as a sex coach. But what I realized is that I really had to, and I also want to speak to that my health was suffering. I was drinking alcohol too much. I was not. I'm a very healthy person. I'm very health conscious. I kettlebell train. I'm dance every day, hike, exercise, relaxation, and I was doing none of that. And I was in this pity party of just self-loathing, actually. And I really had to kind of pull myself up from my bootstraps. I feel like I had my eat, pray moment with my head on the floor in the bathroom. And I had this voice saying, get the hell up and let's start anew, because you cannot live like this. And I think the biggest thing for me was learning to let go. And I am not someone who does that very easily. I like to have control, and what I realized, I have control of nothing other than my own sense of self and my feelings, my emotions, my reactions. So as soon as I could start to unravel that, I realized that I need to find me again. And a lot of that had to do with, I kind of lost that sexy vibe that I'd had in my past. I really wanted to reclaim that. So it set me on an amazing journey. And the biggest thing is I finally advocated for my health, and I hadn't seen my healthcare practitioner for probably 3 or 5 years, too long. I found out that I had very little testosterone in my body. So I actually went on a path of bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. I'm perimenopause, so I still have the other estrogen and progesterone, but I was lacking testosterone. So that was a huge awakening for me, that really set me on a path of vitality. So I don't recommend that everyone go out and do that, but I think the most important thing is that we have to pay attention to our bodies, to our health, and oftentimes we will let things go for years without addressing them. So I think that was a really brave thing that I can say now that I did for myself, that allowed a lot of these other things to stay in place. And I started writing my book very soon after I was on that path.
Thanks for the transparency. That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a big part of, I need to be real, and I need to be real also because I need to show up for my clients who I am. And I think that allows other people to do in kind, because if I'm not being my authentic self, then people cannot trust me and do the same for themselves. So it is not always easy, but I figure at this time in my life, there's no way that I would go back to pretending that I am something or not something. I have to be who I am right now. And from this day forward.
Erica, would you say that it's our sense of aliveness and the joy of life that is the essence of sexuality and attraction?
Absolutely. I think a lot of it comes from our own spirit, our own essence.
Yeah.
And I think that for a lot of us, I think a lot of our energy is just blocked. And I think that it's just been over decades of time that we haven't been able to allow ourselves to be free and flow in that movement. And once we can kind of tap in, and again, that's a lot of work I do with my clients, is I feel like I'm in the relaxation and pleasure business, because you can't have pleasure and have good sex if you're not relaxed. And if you're in your head, you know, I mean, I talk a lot about, you know, pleasure versus performance, and especially in our, you know, midlife and beyond. I mean, we have challenges in the bedroom that have to be addressed, and having sexual intelligence around what it means, and erectile dysfunction, vaginal dryness. We have a lot of these issues now that we have to contend with, and not having the expectation of, oh my goodness, my partner his penis has to be erect and hard the entire time. I have to be lubricated at the get-go. But I think that's what we get stuck in our heads. And it's really having to change that and see, okay, this is the reality. So what can we do now to make this the most pleasurable, enhanced experience possible? So I'll tell you, lubrication is number one. So I work for Uberlube, which is a luxury silicone product, lubrication. And I would say that, you know, that is one thing that I think a lot of people feel shame around. But I would just encourage people, lubrication is your best friend. And if you have good lube, then that goes for a lot of different things.
And the holidays are coming up. Give the gift of lube.
Holidays are coming up. Absolutely.
Thank you, Erica. A question I have for you, and this is something I've experienced, and I don't know if, you know, other people want to comment or share by going on social media, but I've always dressed a certain way and felt like I was, you know, sexy, and guys would say, oh, you're so hot. And then as soon as I got in a relationship with them, well, you can't dress like that anymore. I don't want anyone else seeing you like that. That's just for me. Just like, what are you talking about? And, you know, there were times when I acquiesced, and I really hated myself for doing it. And I was wearing like boxy clothes that I would never wear. I don't know. What are the reasons for that other than insecurity, narcissism, jealousy?
Well, that's you hit the three right there for sure.
Inferiority complex.
All of the above, yes. But I think the insecurity is a big part of that. And hey, I'm a very strong woman. I know that in the relationships that I've had, my partners have known this is who she is, and I can't stop her for anything. And I appreciate that, because that's not always the case. But I think it goes back to trust also. I mean, if you're not trusting your partner and allowing them to kind of, you know, cage them in and keep them small, there is going to be a time in your life that you're going to wish that you didn't do that, because that person is going to, you know, if that's their essence of who they are, you can't cage that bird. You got to let her fly free. And, you know, the hope is that she'll keep coming back. But if the more you cage her, the more she's going to want to get out of there and not come back. So I guess that's it.
Good point. John, would you like to comment on that as a coach and also as a man?
Yeah, I think there's a deep primordial desire to protect your woman and to have that connection where you both feel trust in that, but it gets polluted and distorted by the ego's conditioning and the fears. And then we lose the connection even further with each other, because the lack of self-trust and self-confidence comes in, and then don't you look at him and all of that kind of stuff. But I think they're all lessons we have to go through in order to mature as a man and a woman. We have to grow beyond that stuff.
And communication again, right? Going back to communication, talking about that. If there are fears around, I'm dressing sexy, I'm going to go find somebody else, then be able to come to me and say, hey, hon, you look beautiful. I worry sometimes, and this is this is what I'm feeling. If we can have those conversations as with our partners, I think that speaks so much to just the love and the connection that we can continue to have. But again, it's being brave and being vulnerable, and that can be hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Erica, as people are starting to date, we have a dating program and we have people on all the time, and they talk about people are just getting back out there again in some cases, right? Sometimes people have been together for a long time. When do you have that sex conversation? When do you actually put it out there and say, hey, this is what I like. I want to know what you like. Do you do it before you get into bed, or do you do it after you already had sex? Like, when do you do that?
Oh boy. I bet it's not after you've had sex already. I often get it before then. Well, I would say if you are more on the mature, and I don't mean as age, but it's just immaturity, and it depends on what you're seeking. What is the type of relationship that you're seeking, number one, and having those conversations earlier on, if you know that's the potential that you're going down. Why the hell not do it before? I mean, I think that speaks a lot to, just someone having that sense of maturity and a willingness and openness to have those discussions. I think that could really foster a quite dynamic relationship, or even if it's just because it's a hookup, or, who knows? I mean, whatever their situation is, but, I think it's really, it's very telling if people can have those conversations.
Thank
Erica, there appears to be a lot of issues between sexuality and spirituality, and how to put it in the right place. What advice do you give when that comes up for you?
Well, I live in Utah, so we have a predominant more culture here, religious culture, that sex can be seen as something that is it's complicated. There's a lot of shame around that, and so a lot of people will come to me with issues of just. It's shame-based, and it's what they've been taught as a very young person. So it, again, is kind of unraveling a lot of the misconceptions that they may have. And then also, again, giving permission, knowing that your body it's a pleasure center. And being able to access that for ourselves is not a selfish act or something that is abhorrent, but something that actually works in your benefit to kind of express your whole sense of self throughout the world, and not just in the bedroom, but in everything else that we do. So it is trying. It's definitely complicated, but I think that with a lot of love and patience and grace, talking through that a lot is really important.
Yeah.
Question I have for both of you. Oh, go ahead, John. Do you want to?
No, I was just going to say, because I often thought, if life, God of love, whatever God is, consciousness, created a body to be so sensitive and so responsive, and it'd be kind of a masochistic kind of God to not allow us to enjoy it.
Absolutely.
That's not the God I know.
You framed it perfectly. Yeah, it's very true. Yeah. But I think there's just a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear, especially if you're a parent and, you're trying to keep your child from having sex. I work in the school system, and being sex positive as a parent is really challenging, and also so worthy for those kids who are going to grow up and become adults. They will become adults someday. And how are we going to teach them? And we have a lot of opportunity to do that age appropriately, step by step into, until they get to adulthood.
Yeah.
I bought my daughter her first vibrator at 18.
Wow.
I used to work in a sex shop because I wanted to have that experience to give to my clients about different toys and different, the whole experience. And it was such a fun experience, but it's been so wonderful because people come to me now and I can talk about sex. Like, there's nothing off the table. So I think that's the other thing, is I really have a sense of openness. So I love that, because people will come and talk and be open enough, because I've chosen that this is my path that I want to do with people. And I think that they can see that. So the more I can do that for people to do that for themselves, the better.
I was going to ask if you have any recommendations, but we can do that on another show. So
the closet full. Yes, I could definitely do that. But
show and tell.
It's a training, right? Because for a lot of people, I think, especially if you're couples, that they think if you're using a toy that you're cheating, or there's some, there's a lot of other hangups that go on. So yes, but that's definitely, we could have definitely a larger conversation about that.
Fantastic. Something I wanted to have the two of you comment on. One of our presenters on our Talking Head platform, she is an expert in the 7 chakras. And so she's been coming on and talking about them. And I hope I got this one right. I think the sex chakra is the sacral chakra. Is that? Okay. So if someone is having some concerns about their ability to perform, or maybe they're not feeling that libido, they're not feeling their sexiness, do either of you work with people as coaches to talk about the fact they might have a blockage in their sacral chakra?
Absolutely.
I would say I don't know if I speak to that necessarily with the sacral chakra, but that energy is certainly present. So I'll do movement work with them. So, think about our hips are part of that, right? So it's really getting into the hip movements and being very free in that expression. So I'll have clients sometimes just do a little exercise about just doing circle 8s or moving their hips back and forth to loosen that up, and then really, again, dropping into their body to kind of feel that energy source.
Thank you. John?
Yeah, there's so much that could be said about that, but from the ancient Chinese perspective of philosophy, the sexual energy is the same energy that produces enlightenment or self-realization. So it's well documented that it's one of human beings' greatest struggle is not suppression or denial, but actually correct use of. So the whole self is engaged in the act, not just the base chakra, which is the fire, the passion, the eroticism, the lust. That's just like the fire on the launching pad for the rocket ship. So the Chinese masters say a genital orgasm compared to a crown orgasm is like holding a match against 1 trillion suns.
Wow.
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 And they also say only a fool wastes his seed once in every 100 times. So as a man, I've learned that going through show business and having, it was like working in a sex sweet shop really for a lot of the time in my early years. And
a sex sweet shop. I love that.
That's what it's like. You pay the price, because it takes a man, a period of time to get his life force back. And during that time, if his woman has actually been charged by that energy and she wants to make love again, the guy doesn't have it there because he's spent the energy primarily just through the base chakra, not integrated through the whole 7 systems within the body. So much could be said.
And that's when it.
I was going to say, and that's what edging is for men and women both, is getting to that peak and then pulling away. So it can be very, very powerful.
And that might also be a good time to go into your toy box of little friends there.
That's a different sexual sweet shop, right?
Definitely.
My candy shop.
I've never heard that term, sex sweet. What is it, sexual or sex sweet shop?
I heard sex sweet shop. I like that, John.
That's what I said. I may have to steal that from you. Sex sweet shop, because as young entertainers, we were getting all these offers all the time, and there was a saying in England, if God invented anything better than sex, kept it as a secret. So we were all out there trying to find out what the secret was and paying for it.
We have a comment from the lovely Sarah Grant. Hi, guys. Just managed to come on. I will watch it all later. All right. Thank you, Sarah. We're glad you're here.
Shout out to Sarah. Thank you. And Sarah, I wore this kimono for you.
This kimono's for you. It sounds like an advertisement.
And I was hoping it was for me.
We are running out of time because we have a show right after this, but I do have a question that I think is, I don't know, it's always been important to me, is the chemistry, that you have this incredible chemistry with somebody and it's like passion and fire, but the relationship otherwise not so great, but you don't want to give that up. So as a coach, either of you, what are your, and by the way, I don't have that situation. I'm on an island with my mother, but I'm saying, what would you advise if somebody comes to you with that?
Well, for me, I would say it's if that if that moves them enough to stay in the relationship and they're enjoying themselves in that regard, then I would say go for it. But, it's going to happen to a certain degree that other things are going to fall by the wayside. So, as hot and sexy as all that is, maybe then they really do need to kind of readdress the other issues of commitment and intimacy, because sex and intimacy are very different. And I think a lot of people will just kind of blend those two together. So it's having those conversations. But, even if it's, hey, I've had some amazing sex, but not a lot of commitment in some of my relationships and vice versa. And I think we just have to find a happy medium that works best for us as individuals.
John?
Well, yeah, in the old days, the wisdom idea was engagement. So it was like, the wise ones put that in place because they knew people would get fired up with the base chakra and, all the passion and the energy. We've all been there. And then you make love. But what you're doing is you're actually bonding your energy with that person. Right. So you're creating invisible energetic bridges with them. That have a price. Everything has a price. And the other thing that happens at the same time, anything that is not pure within the lovemaking, with the heart included as well, not just the sex and passion, comes up. So you will meet those lessons in each other. We become the lesson for each other of that energy. Oh my God, now I've opened up my feelings so that we've made love. Now I own you, right? And now I want to own you again. And the other person's probably on the other side going, hey, look, I only wanted to do that once. So you got this divine dance that goes on that has a high price energetically, as I've personally learned. One relationship took me 4 years for us to get to a place where we really loved and respected each other, instead of we're burning each other with our insecurities that were enlightened because we'd made love without being mature enough to do so.
And guess what, John? We have your former lover on the phone now. Hello? No, I'm kidding. We've got more comments from Sarah Grant. Thank you for wearing the kimono in fabulous color. Yay!
Thank you, Sarah.
And my client is enjoying this chat. Okay, that's terrific. Well, this has been a great show. We have to have you back because there's so much more to discuss. So I hope that you will join us again.
It'd be my pleasure. Yes, absolutely.
All right, Erica, I'm going to spotlight you. We are running your banner, but for people who can't see it because they're listening on the radio, what's the best way to reach out to you and who should contact you?
Oh my goodness. Well, I want to offer too, if anyone wants a digital copy of my book, Feel Sexy Again, if they email me at erica@ericalemke.com, I will give them a free digital copy of my book. I want to spread the word. I want everyone to feel sexy and build that sexual confidence. And also I do free discovery sex coaching. So if someone is just looking to see if they want to just have questions about, okay, I want to enhance my sex life, or I have a question about sex, they can also email me or go to my Instagram is probably the best place, which is Erica Lemke, and they can just DM me, and then we can set up a discovery call. So I'm in the pleasure. My tagline is your pleasure is my passion, and I want people to be able to enhance their sexual potential, and whatever that means for them, I want to help them achieve that.
All right. What a great way to go into the weekend. I love it. Thank you, Erica.
For the opportunity, both. It's a pleasure to be with both of you.
We have to do it.
And by the way, thank you for sending me a copy of your book. I'm going to be reading it over the weekend. So I really appreciate
that. My pleasure. Well,
mine better be on the way as well.
John, send me your info.
It will be the fastest book I've ever read.
Slide into her DM and you can get the copy of the book.
Absolutely.
All right, Erica, we'll see you later. Enjoy the weekend.
You do the same. Erica. Thanks so much, everybody.
Nice Bye-bye.
Thank
you. What a great guest. I love this show. I hate to end it because we could talk about so many things. John, absolutely. I'm going to spotlight you as well. Thank you. Please, I'm going to show some of your visuals is love. Let me just find your banner. There's so many banners, hard to find them. Well, I'm looking for that. Let me bring up your training, and if you could talk to us about that.
Okay, well, this is within the program is some of the information and the skills that I shared with you that helped you so much. So thank you very much for saying that. So this is Skills for Life Balance. If people are interested, please drop me an email, john@lifebalanceportal.com, and the website is lifebalanceportal.com. So it's a 10-module program. If you'd like to join me, I can tell you all about it. This is a book that I was asked to contribute to along with 11 other writers and storytellers, and it's about the shifts that took place in our lives and transformed our direction and our paths. And this is my free online ebook, How to Develop Your Intuitive Intelligence, which I think is urgently needed nowadays. We need to know there's a greater intelligence at work within us and all around us, and we need to know how to tune into that by using this body, this mind properly to do so. So please send me an email for that too.
Thank you so much, John. It was a pleasure seeing you as always, looking quite handsome, and I'm happy for your new project that you're working on.
Yeah,
it's
me
fantastic. Too. All right. Well, I'm going to say goodbye for now and let our fans know that our next show is coming up. It's the Talking Heads, and our expert presenters today are Daphne DeLucci and Caroline Heward. So please do join us for that. John, have a lovely weekend. You got your sexy on already, and go make some friends.
And listen, carry on chilling like you are. It's so visibly obvious. It's beautiful. See, that's sexy.
Thank you.
This, that, relaxed, happy in your own skin, sexy rather than stressed.
Thank you. And thanks for the coaching session last week.
The sexier we are.
Yes. Philip Chan, well done, John. Thank you, Philip, for watching. We appreciate it. And then I don't know what X Hill means. Maybe you know?
Oh, Philip. X Hill. Maybe you missed the SE off before the X.
Oh.
I'll ask him.
Yes. Okay. Thank you again. Bye, everybody. We'll see you in a few minutes. Bye, John. Take care.
Bye, Salam.